Hello, everyone. I'm Hawk,
And I am Dee.
and we are one. Like my hat says, we are one. So we don't know some of you, and some of you we do know, some longer than others, but we definitely felt led to make a video with Daniel and Kara and kind of just share a little bit about ourselves and how we were brought into this group and, the desires of our heart, what we feel led that our role could be in this and how we're here to serve, and how we got involved really. And I guess I would start by saying it was probably a couple nights before our Zoom call. I was messaging Linda about coming back to Cedar Creek and doing some work for her, and she kind of just ended up mentioning this event for Fourth of July. She asked me if I had any plans. And I told her currently I don't, but I would talk to my wife and see who are interested in attending the event. And I did mention to her that it would be really cool to do a drum circle. Um, Maybe that's all she needed to hear from me to say, I'm going to volunteer you to be a part of this. And that's pretty much what happened. The next day I was added to a group chat on WhatsApp. And then Deanna was added as well on there. I know that Linda already kind of knew that we had a desire in the heart to do an event out here, a one event. Um, she even mentioned the words one film festival, what she said. But we kind of just haven't really felt led to do anything in Cedar Creek, even though she's opened the invitation to us, 2 years ago, probably. And so we got involved in the WhatsApp, and then we joined the group, um, the Zoom call later that day. And even Daniel David reached out to us and said, "Hey, I want to talk to you." And then he said, "Sounds like I'll see you tonight at the Zoom call," because he didn't even really know we were going to be there. So then we get involved. We're listening. Um, I got it. I got there maybe 5 or 10 minutes uh, late. Deanna's already been listening, and we're kind of going in there knowing very little. We don't know whose event it is, who's in charge, whose vision it is, who's even in it, who's everybody in there, which we know most of them, but not all of them. Like we don't know Dane, we don't know Kara, but I'm just listening. I'm not really saying too much, um, and it seems like at the end of the event, I'm sorry, at the end of the Zoom call, we were in agreement for the most part moving forward on what we were going to do. I know there was there was a conversation of, you know, going back and forth, which is what happens in a collective and in a board. We share our thoughts, ideas, our hearts, and it gets filtered. And I think that's the great thing about having a collective and a board is that um, because we want to be led by spirit, obviously, that's always the goal. Um, the flesh sometimes creeps in, and where two or more are gathered, he is there, he's in presence. So I like that there's as many people as there is involved to make these decisions, especially um, for my sake, because I might have a great idea, but maybe it's not that great of an idea, or maybe logistically it doesn't make sense, financially it doesn't make sense, and having the wisdom that we have amongst us, I think that's a great benefit. We have people that have done a lot of events, um, people that have done a lot of gatherings, people like Linda that have owned a resort for many years. People like Rachel that have owned businesses, people like Deanna that have, over a decade of event planning and coordinating, um, you know, and just all across the board artists. So I find that to be um, probably the best thing about this group that that I would say a lot of us have failed in a lot of different things, but looking at it, it's not really failure because it's experience. We've all experienced and we've all learned, and being able to share, like, that sounds great. I know the heart behind it, but this is what I've learned doing the decisions that you're talking about or that you're talking about. And, humbling ourselves, like Linda said on the chat, and really trying to listen to it and not do it because I want to do it, but because we're coming into an agreement. And that's probably the most key thing is, a house divided will not stand. So we have to make sure that we come together and not be divided, moving forward, because it's just getting started. And I think it's great that we're not in agreement because it's shining light on things that need to be shined on. Um, One of the things that we felt led, leading up to the Zoom call and after the Zoom call, was bringing our piece of the puzzle to this event. At first, we thought it was going to be a festival. That's the word that was kind of being used, and we have already talked amongst ourselves. Even Daniel mentioned it, that we have a desire and feel led to have a art and music festival. So this is kind of up in the alley of where we have been desiring, and where one comes in is we give people a platform to share their testimony, to share their truth, which is very key because we are saved by the power of the testimony. And with our testimonies, we give people hope to overcome whatever lie they're in. And by me sharing my truth, it shines a light that if I can do it, so can you. And that's something that we really feel led to do and be a part of, is having a space for people to release their sound via their truth, their testimony. So we kind of see how that can fit in really well with what we're already doing and bringing it to this event.
And I kind of will just kind of chime in on that a little bit too. With Hawk saying, we've been tossing ideas and the things that the Spirit has had brewing in our hearts for the last several years, and Linda's been very much a big part of it, and us sharing the things that God has placed in our hearts, so she's aware. And we haven't planned anything out here, but I would say yet, because so this kind of formulating how beautiful is it that there is a collective of people coming together with all of these pieces, in a way that it brings diversity together to be that actual manifestation of one, like the whole body, all of these different things. And that's what stood out to me because, looking, as I just listened in the first Zoom meeting, I, was just communing with Spirit, like, where is my fit? How can I serve? How can I contribute to everything that I'm hearing and processing as we move through? And this is just me sharing with you guys. Logistics kind of come second nature to me. So from being a director of events for Chamber of Commerce, I planned big events with lots of vendors and food trucks and expos. So I was like, I know that I can serve in that way of being able to help to create some organization. And then collectively, we can just use those tools as needed. And at the end of that first Zoom, I had offered to do so, and named off a couple of forms that I would create. So I wanted to be sure to fulfill my word. Obviously, all of those are in their works and all of them can be revised as needed. But I just wanted to make sure that I fulfilled my word, which was really important. But with one, I definitely could see as the Zoom meeting was going on, that Hawk and I could easily fit into like that vendor space. And I know we chatted about it a little bit, like maybe half of that outdoor tent area, would represent one, give people the space to share, because that's a big part of my heart. Like Hawk said, with us, people's testimony is key. And I think a lot goes along with that. I recently just did at the event I worked at and attended this weekend. I did a presentation about one where it talks about that union. Um, our union with God is first, and then second is our expression and how important our individual expression is. And that through us coming together in our unique expressions, then we manifest the body of Christ. And so, even as I was doing that in the heart of our nonprofit, it's still the heart for the position we play within this event too, is just finding where we fit in. And I was just seeing us kind of working with the vendors. Also, another key element that stood out to me, just listening in the Zoom and engaging. Rose had mentioned, Hawk and I working in immersive experiences. And so thinking about that element of it, I was really intrigued by possibly being involved in helping to schedule some activations. So maybe like Saturday morning, us deciding as a collective on what activations those are as submissions come in, whether it's a walk through the forest and engaging nature, or if it's goat yoga, all the different things. Who knows what will come in through the the applications that we put out. But those are the two things that kind of stood out to me. Well, three, I guess: logistics, vendors, and the activations. But I'm here just to serve and be a part. And I mean, I do agree with Hawk. I love the idea. The biggest part that attracted me to it from the beginning was Linda reiterating over and over throughout the Zoom, this is a collective decision and I want everyone's opinion, and everyone's opinion matters. Like, to me, that made me want to be a part, because I feel like that is so important, that we are coming together as a collective and making decisions on something that's
bigger than us.
way bigger than just one person or one name or one organization.
And we also discussed in the Zoom call, what's our audience? And I'm just kind of visualizing it like if it was my audience, if it was my event, how would I want it, my heart. And, and then again, I could share hers as well, which we're pretty much in agreement. And thank you guys for bearing with us. I know it's long and there's two of us. We want to make it inclusive. We want to be able to pick the wording correctly, so everybody can be open enough to want to come, and not making it too new agey, not making it too Christian-y, not making it too spiritual, not making it specific enough, but also have some vague in there to where, it's a 4th of July celebration, because that's what it is, 250 years the United States has been, I guess, alive. So we're celebrating, people come for fireworks and music. So the truth came for everybody. The truth didn't just come for the poor and the homeless and the ones that that need it, but obviously the doctor is for those that need the help. But we want to be able to make it to where kind of like infiltrating it a little bit, letting the spirit work, and um, having everybody show up, and that's one of the things I love about Daniel David's music is it's deep, but it's almost like you can make it to where it's just uh, sometimes people they'll sing songs and they don't even know what they're even chanting, like in the radio mainstream. Like I can see some of Daniel's songs on the radio, like even Activate. It's kind of a house song, but there's so much truth to it. And I can see people just in this community coming to the event and singing a song and not even know what they're singing, but then they leave changed. I want I want to be the light to where people can come and they just feel the presence because of the core group of people that are organizing it, and they know that they're here to serve, they're here to hold space, they're here to be the light, and make connections, and people coming in not even knowing what this is. What is this? Obviously, if it was called a festival, people kind of already know what a festival is. They'll come and there's vendors, food, music, art, um, people just being and doing their thing, drum circles, things like that. So we want to be able, that's our audience, all inclusive. I want to invite churches. I want families here. I want kids here. I want it pure. I want it unadulterated. Like that's where my heart is. In the fact and I know that there's going to be some people like if it's too Christian, there's going to be some people that have trauma with church that aren't going to come because it's too Christian. There's some people that have trauma with festivals that if it's too festival vibe, too worldly, they're not going to come because they have trauma with that. If it's too new agey, if it's the Christians won't come. So I would like for it to be broad and be very just careful how we promote it and the words that we choose. And that's why I believe it's important to have this collective that comes together and decides all these things. Last and foremost, I would probably say, do you have anything to say?
I mean, I will, I can piggyback off of him, but I pretty much agree that diversity in an audience is important because we're all on our own path and our own journey. And I would like anybody on any path or journey be able to come here and find that a piece of what they're looking for. And so if in all these little areas in which we're working, we're creating these safe spaces that may all look different. A drum circle might look different than what Daniel David's music is, or a vendor booth might vibe might be. But all of it is giving, with us having the ability to collectively choose who's going where and how that's operating, we're able to place light in all of the spaces. And if all of us are in our identity and we know who we are and we are I am, and we're able to function from that, we're going to structure this whole event in a way that no matter who or where they are in their life, there's going to be a place that's going to be provided for them to release their sound, but to also feel seen and to feel heard and want to know more. like, what is it? What is it about these people? What is it about what's going on here? Um, but my hope is to have a very diverse, open audience to draw people in and meet them where they're at.
Yeah. Yeah, we want everyone to have a seat at the table and do it in respect and honor, in truth, and in safety, because safety is key. We're gonna have kids and families out here, and we want to create a safe container for people to come and experience whatever they're gonna experience. We're all about that. Yes, things happen. Things can happen all the time, but for us not to do our best to not create from a place of fear and not to do things from a place of fear. We want to do things from a place of truth and and yeah, from a place of truth. Yes, we've all experienced things. I mean, I've had trauma in churches, but it doesn't make worship bad. So uh, I would say the last thing, which is the most important thing, is going back to coming into agreement, moving forward. Um, if nobody's in charge, but we're all in charge, and that's one of the things I said on the WhatsApp. I said, moving forward, are we going to be in agreement? Are we in agreement to be in agreement? Because logistically, like I said, I might think something sounds good, but I'm not really paying attention to it. And she's very logistical when it comes to events. So knowing how much space we have and how many volunteers we have or we're going to need, how many performers we're going to have, how much room we have to house the performers. Like that is very important. And I know that all of us are getting that revelation of, oh, this is what I want to do. And nobody's saying you can't do that, but we need to come into agreement of what that looks like and what that is, because I can tell you right now, Daniel and Jennifer are performing, and just between two performers, that's 10 people. So if we have 12 or 24 people performing and we have to house them, we don't know who they're bringing. We don't know if they're married. We don't know how many kids they have. So logistically, that all has to be brought forth to the table. And because we're one, and because I want to honor you, and I want your desires to come to pass, whatever desire you have to create for the space. I want to do my best, but also, coming into agreement of what that logistically looks like. So really, that's probably the most important thing is just coming to agreement, not just one person saying it has to be this, it can't be that. Well, according to who? Like who's in charge? And giving out the roles that we all have individually. And that's just how it works. That's um, kingdom. That's kingdom based. Yeah, and promotion. We have to promote this event. Um, I know, Kara, you shared some things about, not doing it from a promotional standpoint, but I mean, I don't necessarily agree with that personally. I think there's two different ones, and then the two can become one. And that's where a lot of what Deanna has learned up until this point um, is going to serve us learning the importance of the promotional side and then the spiritual side, and not throwing the baby out with the bathwater, not just really not reacting and responding and just bringing things to the table. Anybody else?
No, not really. I mean, I'm really excited. I'm excited to be working with everyone. I love, I've said it a couple of times in the group chat. I'm so excited to see what comes from all of us as a collective coming together because every expression in here is so beautiful. Like I am in love with all of you. Like I am excited to see what the spirit is gonna pull off with this group and this event.
Yeah, and I really don't mean to offend anybody by saying this, but I feel like I need to say it. But you know, being a part of a board or a collective um, means no one's in charge. And I understand and I know that this is Linda's property, and there are some things that she just is gonna say no to because of the law, or this is her home. Like we get to leave, but she doesn't. So there are some things that Linda just is gonna say absolutely no to, and I'm not gonna push towards that. Especially from her experiences that has had here on her property, and because she's a pillar in this community, she has to be wise on what she does around here, because the spirit can look really weird to a lot of people, and it can cause a lot of harm to the community if we're not smart. But like me personally, I don't want to be a part of this if one person is in charge. Like I want to be a part of this because we're all coming together and humbling ourselves, even if it's even if I God told me this and I have to do it because God said, well, if that's the truth, then my brothers and sisters around me are going to say that resonates with me. I don't disagree with anything you're saying. Let's move forward. And then I could say, good. I'm glad God gave me that revelation and you guys all confirmed that it was the truth. And if it's not, and people say to me, you guys, with compassion and grace, say, you know what, Hawk, I don't think that's the smartest thing to do, logistically or spiritually or whatever the reason is. And I want to be humble enough to say, okay, thank you guys for letting me know. I know you're not telling me this because you want to hurt me. I know you're saying this because that's what you feel in your heart. So being able so whatever we bring forth to the table, just to reiterate, being able to filter through 6, 7 people that are in this group, I think that's really powerful.
And before ending our video, the last and one of the most important things that I would like to share is just gratitude. Gratitude for each of you saying yes to this, because I know it's a sacrifice for all of us to sacrifice our time and our energy, and I don't think that any of us would be doing that if we didn't feel led by the Spirit to do so. But mostly a huge from my heart to Linda, like, thank you so much. Like, we love you, and I have so much gratitude for what you are doing with this event and with each of us individually and with so many others. Like,
Yeah.
We appreciate all that you do, and it does not go unseen.
Yeah, thanks for trusting us, and not just me and Deanna, but thanks for trusting everybody else. Love us for opening up your home. Thank
Love you.
you. All right, love y'all.